Good afternoon, Tom. How are you?
I'm great, and yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks so much for asking. And we're about 3 minutes early. I believe we've got participants popping in right now, so we'll give them a minute just to get started here. How's your day been so far?
I finally was able to get a haircut today, so I'm pretty happy.
Amazing. I cut my own hair twice.
Oh,
Uh, yeah,
I
you know,
wouldn't risk that.
yeah. Well, I got one of our guys that works here at the office, and we out of the staff that we had, we only have 3 people actually coming to the office, and we're distanced far enough. So I got him to try it out as well, and he went a little too far. He didn't know where to stop, so he just went and shaved his head, and it looked good.
Yeah. I was in contact with my barber, and I messaged him yesterday. I'm like, "Are you guys open?" And he's like, "Oh, we're opening tomorrow, but the online booking is blowing up." I went online to book, and they don't have any spots available for 3 weeks.
Wow.
They over basically from yesterday, like yesterday it just started flooding in. So I phoned him up and I'm like, hey, I really don't want to wait 3 weeks. Can you open up early for me? And
Yeah.
I'll come in before anybody else gets there. And he was willing to do that for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You know what? I think it's one of those things that we never. I mean, who would have thought in their world that this would ever happen and we wouldn't be able to get a haircut? I mean, it's crazy.
And when you can't have something, it makes you want it more.
Yeah, that's it's the mentality of the loss. That we're gonna lose it. We want it. We need to have it, and that's the concept of it. All right, so it is 1 minute before 1 o'clock. We have 40 or so people on right now. We had about 380 people register for the event, so we got a decent size community on. So Tom, I know you've. I wanted to actually, while we have some people on, kind of give people a kind of reference in terms of uh, what it is that we want to do today. And I know you and I have chatted a little bit, kind of trying to figure out how the conversion stuff works. But tell us what the number one issue is on your side currently with the leads that are coming in.
Okay, so one of my number one goals with the system is to make it so that I don't have to think. The biggest problem I see with myself before, and once you start to get more leads, you're always sitting there wondering, who should I be calling? And then you don't want to miss out on any phone calls from anybody. You want to make sure that, like Beverly says, that if someone says to you, hey, I already sold, you can look at the database and know I did everything I could possibly have done to try to convert this person.
Right.
And I'm okay with that outcome. So
Sure.
Making it so that I can come into the CRM and spend an hour or two and not have to do any thinking. I want a list of people to call. And if I dial the number and nobody answers, then I'm just going to hit next and just go through the list, so that I don't spend time reading. I don't spend time reading people's profiles too much or anything like that. I'm just going to go to the first filter, start dialing, get through the first filter, go to the second filter, start dialing, go through the third filter. And what I found, the problem that I was having is I have so many great conversations with so many people. And like the amount of great conversations I'm having with people who are really potential business for the future is like really high rate. And I want to work on my conversion and making sure that after that initial conversation that I don't lose touch with them. Right.
So you would classify, so just to kind of help everybody understand this issue. So, Tom currently has in our system pre-built so that he can go into his filter and say, give me all the leads that are brand new. These are leads that I haven't called yet. There's only 5 of them that he hasn't called yet today. These are new leads that just came in yesterday and today. So Tom hasn't really done calling yet. But what Tom does is he just pops into this filter, just goes to his first lead. And then as soon as he calls this person, this person is no longer on that list. So this will say 1 of 4, 1 of 3, 1 of 2, 1 of 1. And Tom knows he's done calling that list. The next step for Tom is then he gets into his second need to contact. So what Tom has done here is that he doesn't want to let a lead slip through, meaning that if I tried calling a lead once and they didn't pick up, I want to be able to call them more times before I actually give up on them. So in this case, Tom is set up so that we call all the leads at least 10 times before you give up on them.
Once I don't give up on them. Once I've contacted them 10 times without luck, then I just switch them to a weekly call forever.
Right.
I don't ever give up on them.
Yeah. So now the concept is, when I really call them is you will later on have a little bit of an issue as you progressively get more and more leads.
Yeah.
You should concentrate more on the ones that actually provide more value, because somebody who you called 15, 20 times and they never picked up, there's the chance of them picking up and actually having a conversation with you is fairly low. So,
yeah.
You may want to really designate your time on the better leads at that point, because you're going to have a set amount of time you're actually able to call these leads in a given
Yeah, it's not on the top of my priority list, but like if I have time, I'm still just going to put in there, spend 20 minutes, maybe once a week, and just run through the list quickly.
Exactly. So now, when Tom makes contact with somebody and he's actually, they're out of his the qualifying filters, meaning that these are leads that I haven't actually spoken to yet. But once I speak with them, I want to designate, how good of a lead this is. Should I follow up with them once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 30 days that you see here, or once every 90 or 6 months? So Tom, then in this case, what we'd be doing essentially is, let's say we're going through your recently active filter and we're calling this individual, and we see, after having a chat with them, we know that this is somebody who I'd want to make sure I follow up once every week, right?
Yeah.
All we would do at that point is add in a filter and add in, let's say, where's the weekly weekly check-in. As soon as I add this lead to the weekly check-in, they automatically become part of my weekly check-in, meaning that they're not going to show up in my list here. They're not going to show up in the recent active list. They're going to show up in my 1 week check-ins. All my
if I haven't called them for 7 days.
Exactly. If you haven't called them in 7 days. So what we've done here in the system is said, give me all the leads that are weekly check-in and they were not contacted by phone in the last 7 days. And the phone number is unknown or valid. So that way, if they opt out of the calling, they're not going to be in my list anymore. That kind of makes sense. I hope that makes sense to everybody. I know there's some questions actually being popped up here, so I just want to try to answer them. Campaign is sellers. You're doing a buyer's campaign, right, Tom?
Yeah, I'm doing I've got the Google pay-per-click one that you guys are running, and then you guys also started the Facebook search Vaughn homes under $1 million.
Right.
And I'm getting just a amount of leads from them. So it's not a seller's campaign, but there are lots of sellers. So, I went on an appointment last week with one of the Facebook leads. They have a $1.3 million home in Thornhill, and they want to buy maybe like 1.3, 1.4 in Willowdale. They were qualified. We got them approved by the mortgage. Unfortunately, there was an issue on commission. So I wasn't willing to cut as low as someone else was. So I had to walk away from that.
Okay. So that ended up being a dead, but at least that was an appointment that you got off of a Facebook lead. So from a perspective of Facebook leads, I mean, from a perspective of when we try to compare Facebook and Google, they both are good leads. I think you would get more leads off of Facebook than you do off of Google. But in a general sense, it's been quite the same. So do you, from scripts, a script perspective, so there was a question from Jim, do you have any scripts? And I know you've used the scripts that...
I'm not even I'm not using a script per se. I'm doing pretty much exactly what Beverly Ruffner does in her videos. So I'm going to call, in the initial call, it's going to look like, hey, John, it's Tom. How are you doing today? I was just giving you a quick call because you were online looking at some homes, and I just wanted to get a better idea of the situation. In which case, a lot of them will reply and say something like maybe, I'm just looking, or I'm just browsing, because a lot of them think that you're trying to sell them something right now.
Right.
And maybe their timeline is a little bit further. So then I just turn around and say, you know what? It's perfectly fine that you're browsing. What type of stuff are you browsing for? What did you have in mind? and then that's when they
That's the
usually start to
conversation.
open up,
Right. So for
right? Once
those of
they,
you that, yeah, then
yeah,
you start a conversation, you start opening them up. So for those of you that haven't possibly seen Beverly's videos or the live dialing videos that we do, you can go to YouTube, search for Agent Locator, and then go onto our channel. So I just did it here. If you search for Agent Locator, you click on this Agent Locator channel. You can subscribe to it if you want, and then every time a new video that we put up, we'll get posted here. But there is a ton of content here, and I know this is something you did, Tom. You kind of you
I
went through
binge
the videos.
watched. I
Binge
spent
watch.
like 3 days, like 10 hours a day, and I did nothing else but watch these videos. And then like after watching like months and months of like all day, every day, watching her make the live calls, and she makes excellent commentary as she's making the live calls, telling you, hey, this is what should happen, that's what should happen, this is how you tag people. And it really also changed the way of how I use the system, because, you know, to be brutally honest, a lot of the other training videos are instructional and sort of dry, but
Right.
seeing the way she says, hey, this is what I use tags for, this is what I use this for in a real world setting, really helps you get an idea of the entire system and how to actually use it in practice.
Yeah, she gives actual advice in terms of, I mean, what we do with these live calls, for those of you that don't know, is we actually have Beverly open up a CRM like this, and she just starts dialing live. She starts dialing live, and we record the actual discussion that she has with the leads. So you can get a sense of what the discussion is like how does she start her call? And then also objections, how she handles those objections. I mean, we've got a lot of different uh, videos that we've actually cut up. So the videos that she does that are like an hour or 2 hours long, whatever it may be, we'll take the gold out of it and actually make really small videos here, 5 minutes and 43 seconds, buying and selling plans on hold due to COVID, and what her response was like. So you're figuring out how to get around some of these objections that you're end up getting from these leads. And there's a lot of content here, guys. So do definitely ingest it and then go through as much as you can. Um, as far as your budget right now, Tom, what budget are you on currently?
So currently, I think I give you guys, I think 190 or something like that for my 2 sites. And then I have, I think 500 that I give to Google. And I think my monthly Facebook is 300. So I think it's about 1,000 a month in total.
Okay, so 1,000 a month in total.
And I'm getting probably 4 to 6 leads every day.
4 to 6 leads a day. Yeah. So that's an answer there. Hang on a quick second.
Okay, I see a question from Jim. But the email addresses and phone numbers are fake. Should those be deleted? So I had a good conversation with Brana about this, saying to put those in the garbage and not to delete them, because if they ever try to log back into the system, it will prompt them to put in correct information. Also, when you start to track your numbers and your stats, if you delete those, then your conversion rates and everything will not be completely accurate.
Yeah. So for example, let's say, you want to know how many of the leads that you've had inside the system are actually truly garbage leads. So you can do, a check, say, give me all the leads that are with the pipeline garbage, so you can find out. So it's never a good idea to delete the leads, but definitely garbage them. Like if you have an example like this is for sure it's a fake lead. This is nothing else but a fake lead. They've given a fake number, they've given a fake email address. This is a lead that you would put into garbage so that you can actually just make sure it's not in your system whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I was deleting them up to a few weeks ago when Brana told me this, and since then I haven't been deleting them.
Yeah, after a while you want to be able to say, in 2020 I got a total of 1,000 leads, and out of those 1,000 leads, 100 of them were fake. And let's say 2021, you've got a total of 2,000 leads and a total of 500 fake leads. Your fake ratio went up quite a bit. We need to determine why your fake ratio has gone up. Like, is it the source of leads that you're getting the source from that's bad or not good? So that's definitely the reason why you don't want to be deleting leads at all.
So nor how many deals possible. I'm sure, Otto probably has a better idea from all of the agents, but for myself, what my goal is I want to aim for 1 to 2% conversion. So like $1,000, maybe get me over 100 leads a month. So I'm hoping to get like 1 to 2 deals a month, right? And you know, with the average commission being 15 to 25,000, that's like a 20x on your investment. You know, $1,000 to make 15 to 50,000. You know, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, so I mean, the best way to look at it, when we look at the general conversion rate of all internet leads, obviously the better you follow up and the better you're on the phone, the higher your conversion rate is going to be. And so from that perspective, it's hard to really take one agent and say this is what it's going to be. However, when we look at the overall spectrum of all the people, you can say that 1% of all the leads you get for that year should be closed. If you're not closing at least that 1% of the leads, then you're really not doing enough to actually qualify the people, because 1% of them should be closed. Now, what does happen is, so year one is 1%. Now, year two, you're still going to convert 1% of all the leads from that year, okay? That year. Now, however, you should also be converting at least 0.5% of the leads from the previous year, because you have to understand that these people, well, internet leads in a general sense, most of them are at the very beginning of their search, right? They just started looking at properties and they're just online searching. So the older they get in the system, the better they get, primarily because, you know, somebody who started looking a year ago is probably more ready to make that move right now than they are from before. So that's why you should be converting at least, again, 1% from the leads that you got that year, but also 0.5% from the leads you got the previous year. And this should go on for the next 2-3 years. So this is where you could be converting, you know, your first year into, you're converting 1%. The following year, you're converting 1.5%. The following year after that, you're converting 2%. So that's where the conversions come from that perspective.
Also, I'd like to add to that just for a second on the CRM. Pull up the tag auto already bought.
Yeah.
So this will just give you like I had an ISA doing a lot of the work, so I missed out on quite a few. But like, look, of 500 leads, I've got 17 people that already bought. So you're looking at about, just from these numbers alone, 20 out of 500. What is that? Like almost 4 or 5% are actually making a deal. So you're only trying to get like 10 or 20% of all of the people that are actually ready to do a deal. And this is still early. Of these 500 people, I would estimate probably 10% of them are going to be buying in the next year.
Right, and then ends up happening. I mean, there's also those that have other agents already. There's, you know, obviously you can't go through that part of it, but at least from a perspective of the actual internet lead itself, you know, it is something that definitely works. So help me understand, Tom. You know, one of the main things we wanted to make sure here is that the follow-up process that we set up now to help you with these leads, to make sure you have 1 week leads that you should be following up with 1 week. So when we talk about qualifying a lead, when we look at, you know, when you call a lead and you try to determine where do they currently stand in their buying process, like, so where are they at? Are they going to make a move soon? Are they not going to make a move soon? Are they 6 months away? Are they 3? Are they a year away? Once you figure out based on your conversation, you want to allocate that individual to a follow-up in that. So you say, you know, the leads that are really hot, I want to follow up, make sure I'm following up with them once a week. So will this structure that we've set up now kind of help and make sure that you have the ability to follow up the way you need to?
100%. This is, I think, the best way to do it. Setting tasks for everyone and trying to get people and do the task. Right. I've been overtasking, and I think this is going to be the most ideal way so that nobody slips through the cracks. Because like, exactly, if I'm going to follow up with someone in a week, it doesn't necessarily, like if today's Friday, if I say, okay, I'm following, doesn't mean I necessarily have to follow up with them next Friday for sure. But even if I call them on Monday, they're still going to be in that category. So even if I was a day late or I had an appointment or something like that, I would still be able to, they'd still fall into that folder.
Exactly. So what really makes this system really easy to follow is all you have to do on a daily basis is you go through your filters. If there's a lead here, that means you should be calling it. If there's no lead there, then you don't need to call it. So essentially, when we look at the week 2 check-ins, there's no leads right there. That means I've called all the leads that I needed to call during that period. And again, if we look at this lead here, as soon as I actually call this lead and I dial them out from the system, they will no longer be inside of that filter anymore. They actually get out of that filter. So that means this list is going to go to 0. So that's what makes it easy. That's what makes it, without, when you said, Tom, I don't want to think. I don't want to have to go into the system and have to think, should I call this person or not? If it's in my list, I should be calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exact. Is stop thinking. I don't want to think. I don't want to spend any time trying to figure out who I want to call. I want to hit the filter and start dialing.
Yep. And that's truly what it is. The way that we've set this up here, and these filters, guys, if you don't have these filters set up, if you're a client right now, you can contact our training department. So you can contact Crystal at agentlocator.ca. She can help and get you so we can set up these filters. We also, I know we have Brana on the webinar as well, who's one of the trainers. I know we also have constant webinars for those of you that have not joined. I'm gonna make sure just that we can get you on there. So Agent Locator Clients is our group, AL Clients. And Pepe's asking where our webinar is. I have to find the link. I'll send her the recording afterwards. So join this group. We post a lot about all of the different events that we have inside of the group, so people can help you get the filter set up. So if you really think about it, the first filter here is essentially, these are all the leads that you haven't reached yet. These are all the leads that are, these are all the brand new leads that you haven't actually called yet. Your need to contact leads are leads that you haven't actually spoken to yet, and you want to give them a try at least 10 times before you give up. So as soon as there's leads in here, you should be calling in right through. So
yeah,
there's some other questions on here that have come up. Let's see if I can spot a few. Budget, we answered that one. Ross Bridge is asking, do you recommend for follow-up email and text campaigns language for Phil M. Jones, what to say, exactly what to say? Are you familiar with Phil Jones?
No.
Yeah.
I've never heard, like, I'm not, I personally, I hate email. I don't like text. I want to get them on the phone because, like, what I can accomplish in like a 2-minute phone call would take like a week over email or text. When people are I want to get them on the phone, have a 5-minute conversation with them, right, and get everything out of them, right? Sometimes when you text people or email them, they don't reply, or they don't reply right away, and then you're doing something else, and just give them a call, get them on the phone, and you can get through what they want way quicker.
Right. A text message, utilizing text on the initial leads when they come in, trying to get them to respond is one way that you can, use the actual SMS system. Another thing that I do absolutely suggest that you guys use the SMS system for is, for example, let's say I want to pull up all the leads that I have actually not talked to yet. Let me actually pop into a different account just to give you guys an example of an account that has a little bit more leads than your account, Tom. So give me a quick second.
Okay.
So I want to show the power of mass SMS and how it actually works and how it can benefit you. Here we go. Okay. So if I go into this system has 5,987 leads inside of it. So let's say I want to go in here and I want to pull up all the leads that I haven't actually spoken to yet. So I know I have, if I made contact with that lead, it automatically goes into the made contact pipeline. So I know for a fact that out of these there's 2,884 leads that I actually have not spoken to yet. So maybe I don't want to include those that registered recently. So I want to include all the leads that registered, let's say, last year, apply. So 819 of these leads are leads that I've spoken to, that I have not talked to, but registered last year. Let's actually include another one. Let's say last activity. I want to say all the leads that have been active in the last 90 days as well. So out of the 800 something leads, 144 of these leads have been active on our website in the last 90 days. I know they registered last year, and I know they actually have not made contact with them yet. So if you wanted to use mass SMS in the best way possible, I suggest you do this. You do this, select all, you go to apply actions, send mass SMS, and then you put a message like, hey there, first name, I see you were looking at some homes recently. I'd love to show you a property if there's something you'd like to see, right? So then you're contacting 144 people by SMS really quick. and you know for a fact these are not good leads. I mean, these are not leads that you made contact with yet, so you're not going to upset anybody who you're actually in communication with. So does that kind of make sense for you as well, Tom? I don't know if you were
Yeah.
following. Yeah. So that's how you use SMS to the extent to really mass contact people who you know. This is, the only thing we're trying to do here is extract more out of these leads that we're probably not going to get anything out of, because these leads registered last year. And you could even do something like this. Let's say you want to pull up leads contact. So where you have not contacted them by phone in the last 90 days either, right? So that's the power of these filters. Right, so there's 800 leads that this agent has not even tried calling in the last 90 days that are inside of his system. So he can shoot an SMS message to 800 people, and I guarantee you that out of these 800 people, you're going to have 4 or 5 replies saying yes, they'd like to take a look at a property. So the older the leads get, the better it is, because you might have missed actually speaking to them, but if they got into the system in 2018 and they still haven't bought a home, there's a good chance they're actually more hotter now than before. So I hope that part makes sense on the SMS side, guys, and understanding that power. What is the minimum investment for a month, Noor? So the minimum you need to start with is our system costs $158.95 a month. So if for those of you that haven't seen it, you can go to AgentLocator.ca, and we talk about our system here. You can get a demo by clicking on Book a Demo. So our system costs $158, and then the minimum that you need to be spending on Google to really get leads is $250 a month. So when you look at that total, it's $408 a month minimum investment to kind of start with online leads. You could start with Facebook ads only, and do, you're paying $158.95 a month to us, and you could do $100 a month on Facebook and get some Facebook leads coming in. The cost per lead off of Facebook right now, the average cost per lead we're seeing is around $3.50. So for $100 ad spend on Facebook, you should get about 28 leads.
Yeah. And like one thing I would recommend, so like I have someone that I want to start working the online leads with me that I work with closely, one of my partners, and hopefully she's on this webinar watching. And I told her, I said, listen, I want to get you on the online leads, but I want you to make at least like 5,000 to 10,000 phone calls on Mojo first. Get comfortable talking to people that you don't know and asking them questions. Get used to the rejection before you start putting all of this ad money out there. Because if you're afraid to talk to people and you're afraid to get on the phone and you're spending $10 a lead, you're spending $500 a month, and you can't talk to people, then, cold call some people first and get yourself comfortable, and then start putting in the money into the ad budget.
100%. You're practicing. If you look at it this way, if you're practicing your cold calling abilities on people you're paying for, you could open up the book and call people for free. It doesn't cost anything from that perspective, just to get that rejection out of the way. I mean, for those of you that don't fully understand internet leads, the best way that I can actually explain an internet lead, a lot of people ask about the quality of internet lead. How good are the leads? Where's the quality of leads? Internet leads have honestly never been about quality. Internet leads have always been about quantity. The idea is, let's get as many leads as we can, go through them as fast as we can to get to the few that are actually good, that want to speak with us, right? That's truly what it is. And then the other way that I like to explain internet leads is to say, if I can tell you that I can get you people who I know have raised their hand, they've gone to Google searching for a home for sale. They're going to come to your website, give you their information, but when you call them, they're not going to know they're going to call them. Right? Because when they're registering on the website, they're submitting their information because they have to submit their information. They're not saying, Tom, give me a call. So these leads that you're calling, we know they're looking for a home, but we don't know when they're going to buy. We don't know whether they currently have an agent or not. So from a total of 100 leads, you're not going to have the majority being ready to go looking for properties with you right away. It's going to be a small percentage of them. So yeah. And that's where, when Tom talks about practice cold calling without actually spending your money on the lead. So if you don't experience talking to people that don't want to talk to you, it is certainly something that you should try to get a experience on. And honestly, even watching the videos.
Yeah, because
watching video itself, yeah.
And also, like, I'd like to point out is no doesn't mean no. So a lot of people are a little bit resistant in the beginning, but you'd be surprised if you keep asking them questions, they'll stay on the phone and keep talking to you. So many times I've had people say, "Hey, we're just browsing, we're just looking, I'm not interested." And if you keep talking to them, they won't hang up. They'll keep answering your questions, and you'll be able to get a lot more information out of them than you possibly ever would have imagined.
Right.
Um,
The more you probe, it's funny. People answer, people talk, people. That's the you ask them personal stuff, and they like talking about themselves in a general sense. And Beverly does an incredible job at actually extracting this information out of people. And what's nice, so I'll tell you guys an interesting fact when it comes to even our specific lead generation program. So before we had live dials, so before we actually trained you guys exactly what to say by showing you exactly what to say, we used to try to provide you here's scripts, here, use the script, say these things. But when we looked at a retention ratio, meaning that how many people stayed on lead generation after a few months, uh, the difference in the live dials was incredible, because once people actually hear, they can hear Beverly the way she says it. They can clone that. People clone in the general sense the conversation, the way that she speaks. And you can, once you hear it yourself, I think it's a lot easier to see, this is exactly how I should be doing it myself. So for anybody out there that has been considering internet lead generation, whether you're doing with us or not, the content is there. So go on Agent Locator and find the channel, and then just watch the videos. There's a lot of these videos that are a few minutes long that you can indulge right away, and get as much value as possible out of it. So
Yeah, I can't even stress enough how amazing, like, because this, even exactly what you said before, when I was just trying to read a script and it wasn't the same. Once you see someone actually do it in front of you and you're like, hey, look how easy that was. I can do that.
right, it's truly that easy. So it works. And again, go through. If you actually scroll down, I forgot about some of these other videos. Just looking response when a lead says to you, "I'm just looking," and she does an incredible job at actually talking to this lead long enough when they just, most of the leads say, "I'm just looking," really, from that perspective. So it's like when you walk into a store, what do these people say? "I'm just looking." So you still want to get
Yeah.
a conversation out of them. So that's awesome. I'm truly thankful, Tom, for you coming on and having a chat with us. I wanted to do this on a live just so we can get some value to our clients as well, to understand the filtering functionality. There is so much power, guys, in this filtering system, that you can filter and find a lot of good leads. And if you want to have a similar setup to how Tom has his setup in terms of the filters, um, contact support at agentlocator.ca, and they can direct you to videos on how to create it, or they can create those filters for you as well. So um, it just makes things easy. Being able to pop into your CRM system, click on a filter, and if there's leads in there, you call them. If there's no leads there, that means you've done your job. Makes your life so much easier, because the decisions on who to call and when to call are gone. You don't have to make those decisions, because you know exactly who to call.
So Otto, I have a question for you,
Yeah.
actually. So one thing that we sort of touched on was my asking people what is the best time to contact them, morning, evening, or night,
Yeah.
right? So for these follow-up filters, would I be able to add one of those tags onto the filter without saving it as the filter? So if I'm calling in the morning, I can add the morning call, or call just like not as a saved filter, but just add that criteria to the filter at the time that I'm calling.
Right. So let's say you want to be able to also include leads that are tagged in a specific time of call. Okay, I see what you mean. So in
So like
order
if it's
to,
the evening right now, I want to call all the people that I'm following up with on a weekly basis that want night calls because it's the evening right now. So I
yeah,
just add it, but it's not saved into the filter list so that I have 500 filters,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where I
I
can just
think
add it on at the time that I'm calling.
so. There's going to be a different way that you're going to do that, and let's actually do that through lead types. So what we're going to do is let's actually do a quick test here. So uh, buyer, and we'll just say night call, save. So here's how we're going to do that. So let's say uh, there's going to be a lead here actually that's specified. night. Let me just find it what it is.
Like, wouldn't I be able to just add on a second tag in that first filter?
So you also need to be able to subtract a tag. So because you want to make sure that your leads that said to call them at night, that you don't have them inside of your regular list, right? So if I go to my 1 week check-ins, I want to
Yeah.
make sure that no leads who are nighttime leads show up in here, right? Because those leads are the ones that I need to call at night, right?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna have to do here is we're gonna have to create a filter called 1 week check-in / night.
Okay.
So that you're gonna have 1 week check-in filter, and then you're gonna have a 1 week night check-in, and only those leads that are night leads are gonna show up in that list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how to do that, what you would do is this. You would, let's actually pull up that one lead that's marked as night. Okay, night calls. Or there's a few. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this lead, and we're going to change the lead type to, where is it here? Night call. There it is. Okay. So let's do an example of what we're going to do. So let's pull up our 1 week check-in. Was that lead in the 1 week check-in, by the way? No.
I don't think so.
Let's find one that's actually in. Hang on a second. Night calls. 2 week. Here's a lead that's in 2 week check-in. And let's say that this lead is okay. So this lead is a night call, and it's a 2 week check-in, right? You see it here?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a lead that we would have in that night call. Let's make sure night call. And let's go back and actually remove that other lead from the night call, because that's or no,
Well,
that
he
was
should
a night.
still be
Yeah,
classified as a night call.
that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's true. The only thing we got to do now is this is a 2 week check-in. So we're going to go into our 2 week.
He's not going to fall. I was talking with him yesterday, so he's not going to fall into that category for 2 more weeks.
Yeah, the only thing what we want to do is we want to do here, say lead type is not night call. So that we want to add this filter. So what we're saying here, for all my 2 week check-ins, I want to call all the people that are in these filters, and they're also not in my night call list. Because what I want to do is I want to make a night call list. This is going to be our 2 week check-in night call. So you see here, you have your 2 week check-in, and you have your 2 week check-in night call. So then here we're going to say is night call. So
Okay.
any lead that's in a night call list is going to automatically show up inside of this list. See, if we remove this was not contacted and apply, you'll see that lead now is in your list here, because
Okay.
we removed that. Let's go put it back in.
Yeah.
Not contacted in 15 days. When we remove that filter that's not contacted, this is only give me all the leads that are in my 2 week check-in list where phone is valid and they're in my night calls, it comes up. But when we apply that full one, which is this one says was not contacted by phone in the last 15 days, because he was contacted by phone, he doesn't show up there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So then the only thing that you need to do for these night calls is specify lead type to be night call.
Okay.
Right? And that's because we could use tags, but the problem is we can't have a tag that is and is not. If I try to add another tag here, it doesn't allow me, because it only allows one tag filter.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That's the reason why we can't use another tag to go is and is not.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, that's sometimes a little confusing, but there's so many different ways that this can be set up. But this is exactly what you need to do if you have leads that are nighttime calls
Or morning calls.
Right.
Like, I've had some people who are like, hey, I'm on afternoon shift. I need you to call me in the mornings. Right. So usually when I'm on the initial conversation, I will say something like, okay, so in the future, what's the best time to call you at? Morning, afternoon, or night?
The only thing there that I suggest then is having night calls, morning and evening calls for every type of
That's
call.
what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, that might be too hard. So you may want to specify just one set of leads that you call at night, and then you maybe follow up with them once every week or so.
Yeah.
Right? Because if a lead who's 6 months away says to you, call me at night, they're not going to remember that they told you call me at night 6 months, 6 months when you contact them next time.
Yeah.
right? So this list should really be just those leads that are night calls. And then what you could do here, let's do that. Let's say we want to call all the leads that are night calls. Well, we still have to use the lead types to make sure they don't fall in your other list, Tom.
Yeah.
So what you are going to have to do is if you go to your CRM and then add a tag, let me just clear this tag. So all of the night, hang on, night, morning, actually let's just say night. All these leads, you have to specify with lead type night call.
Okay.
And then what we do is we can rename this one, not 2-week check-in, we can just say night calls. And then we don't have to have
So
this. Yep, go
so
ahead.
what, rather than having so many more filters, would I be able to just change the lead type as I'm making the calls based on the time of day? Like so let's say if I go into here, I can hit add filter and then put lead type.
You can,
and then just put based on what time it is at that time.
you can out of let's say if you want to add only those leads that are nighttime calls by lead filter. The only thing is when we pull up this list of leads, it's also going to include those leads that are nighttime calls.
Yeah.
Right. So then we need to have this filter that's lead type is not night call to make sure that the leads that I'm calling every week, that it does not include those leads that are night calls.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully we're not confusing everyone right now.
Yeah, there's definitely the best way to kind of understand the filters is to play with them as much as possible. And then we do have constant webinars, guys, that explain the filters in more depth and more understanding. So that's definitely something that you guys can take advantage of through our training department. For any of you that don't know when the trainings are, you can go to our Facebook group, and there's going to be a list of trainings there. And if you're ever in doubt, email support@agentlocator.ca, and they can provide you with everything there.
Okay, I see a question from Ashley about my background on Zoom. So if you go into the Zoom options, you can upload any background that you want that will automatically appear anytime you're on Zoom. So you could put any picture. I just downloaded this one from Remax. You can put a different office. You can put a sunset. You can put a skyline. Anything you want to put in the background of Zoom to blend out of where you actually are. You just go into the options in your main Zoom profile and put add background. It's very easy.
Yeah, awesome. I actually didn't even know for a while that existed, and found out a little while ago. It's sometimes weird when you move around, it distorts, but it's pretty cool that it actually just hides everything behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a question by Witty. What campaign is better, buyer or seller? So I can, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've only been doing the buyer campaigns, and I get buyers and sellers. I wouldn't like it's just I think the main thing isn't what campaign is better. The main thing is, are you calling everybody?
Yeah, I can tell you from a perspective of being involved with many more agents who work sellers really well and work buyers really well. So when we, like Tom said, when we look at buyer leads have sellers in them. In fact, when we proposed the question, and we did this test a couple of years ago, to ask, do they currently own a property or they're renting? 52.5% of the people that came in as buyers said they own another property, which means they're most likely going to have a property to sell. So there's definitely sellers inside of those buyers. Now, there are campaigns that we can create that target only sellers. So only people that are looking for home evaluations and looking for, an evaluation of their property. The general cost per lead on those leads is higher than buyer leads. So from a cost perspective, it's better to go after buyer leads than it is to go after seller leads. But if you're only a listing agent and you don't want to get any buyer leads whatsoever, you just want to target sellers, absolutely you could. You could really get the same leads. It's the same conversion ratio. It's not really a lot different. So from that perspective, I really hope that answers your question, Weedy. How do we set an amount that wants to lead to purchase? Okay, so guys, for any support related questions, the best thing to do would be to ask the question inside of a training or support at agentlocator.ca. We truly wouldn't be able to provide direct support on some of the questions here. For example, I just want clients 1 million and up. Okay, sorry, Elena, this actually might be a question about finding, okay, so if you're saying, how do we find leads that only want $1 million properties, right? Help me understand, Elena, just by a comment, whether that was your question. So for those of you that want to do lead generation and say, oh, you know what, I don't want to target all the buyers. I only want to target people that are looking for properties that are $1 million and up. So there isn't really an easy way to do that. The only way that you can actually do that is if you're advertising for luxury property. So for example, you're advertising a campaign and we're doing this for you where we're looking for people that are looking for luxury, waterfront properties. The only issue you're going to have that is you're limiting yourself. There's going to be a lot less people looking for that. So the cost per lead is going to be much, much, much higher. And if this is the first time you're working with internet leads, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy to do that. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
I'd also like to add to that. What I've noticed is, so my Facebook one that they're advertising is homes under 1 million in Vaughan. I'm still getting people that want to buy 1.1, 1.3, $1.4 million homes. And I would assume that if you did a campaign homes above 1 million, you would also get a whole bunch of people who don't qualify for above 1 million. And, so if you get a lead that's under 1 million, are you really going to say, no, I don't want the $20,000 in commission? Right?
Yeah, that's a tough one on that part. But it's from a lead generation perspective, you can target people that are looking, but it is not advisable. It is not something that you should do. Honestly, the best campaigns are the ones that have the least restrictions, primarily because we get leads at a very low cost. If we're getting leads off of Facebook at $3.50 a lead, that's pretty cheap. For probably about $400 or $500, you can get a transaction for every $500 you spend on Facebook. So, and when we're targeting people that only want luxury properties, you're not going to get that many leads. Again, internet leads are a quantity play, so we want to go on that. Witty asked about chatbot. Yeah, we can add a chatbot on the websites, Witty. So that is definitely something that we can put on the sites.
But you should still call them. Nothing will get you the results of picking up the phone and calling and talking to these people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's imperative that you're calling the leads, and that's definitely something that we have to do. In order for really to sell anybody, we have to talk to them. There was a question that I did like here, when it comes to validating a lead. So the question is, do we have the ability to validate the email address and the phone number of a lead before they actually even become a lead? So the way that we've set up our system is we do force them to validate in order for them to continue browsing through listings. So for example, if Durley here that came in, if their phone number was invalid, and if I mark the lead here as unknown, or sorry, invalid phone number, when Durley goes back to the website to try to browse through properties, a form comes up saying, hey, wait a second, it looks like you entered an invalid number. Please validate your phone number in order to continue browsing through listings, right? So they'll have to send an SMS message to their phone. They get a message back with a code that they have to put in to validate their number. So we do that already through the CRM system, as long as you mark that lead as invalid in the CRM.
That's an amazing feature too. I get people, I get all kinds. Oh, this person just validated their phone number after I've tried calling them and it was invalid. And then you call them and it's real.
Yeah. So let's remember, one of the nice things with our system, guys, is that we continuously bring people back to the website. I mean, as an example, let's actually sort leads by most recently active. So here we're actually looking at a list of leads. So out of these 508 leads, this guy was active right now. This guy's actually looking at listings right now. This individual was active 4 minutes ago. So if I look at Rahman, for example, let's see, if I go to the activity, I can see what he has looked at, which properties.
Yeah, I met with this person and I had to turn them down.
Oh yeah, interesting.
They want to work with several agents and there's nothing that they would ever sign to commit to a single agent. I had showings booked with them on Saturday, and I had a buyer consultation hooked up with them in the morning. We did the buyer consultation, and they said that they want to have the freedom to work with multiple agents. So I had to tell, I'm unfortunately not going to be able to show you these properties then. Best of
Right.
luck.
Yeah, I mean, that's a decision, a business decision you have to make, that you're not wasting your time, and that's a business decision you have to make. I mean, that's the way it is. In this case, you're letting him browse through the website, so you haven't really stopped him. You're just letting him be in the system. And if he contacts you for something, I mean,
yeah, it's not costing me any time or money for him to just keep using the system, so I don't really care.
yeah, makes sense. So, but that's kind of the concept. So now imagine if, let's say, Rahman entered an invalid phone number, and he comes back, because our system keeps getting him back every time new listings come out with what they're looking for. As you can see here, he keeps opening up those emails and looking at the listings. So now when he gets hooked to these listings that we're sending out to him on a daily basis, if we were to block him from being able to view these, he will validate his phone number, because he wants to get access to something that he's been cooked on. So
Yeah.
I hope that that part makes sense. Site, you're most welcome. Do you continue to send them listings even though they're not working with you? So Jyoti, that the question was answered there. Yes. I have seen cases where a number of emails are wrong and they're still opening emails. So if their email is invalid, they wouldn't be able to get the email. So I'm not sure in that perspective, Jyoti, that they would be able to. What they could do is they could have bookmarked the website, and they might be coming back to the website because they bookmarked it, and that's why the activity might be showing. But the emails, if it's invalid, the emails won't be going through. So I hope that part makes sense. Amazing. I hope you guys have gotten some value from the webinar. Tom, I truly appreciate your time and everything we've discussed. If any of you have questions that are clients, shoot an email to support@agentlocator.ca. If any of you have an interest in joining us, you're not a client yet, we have amazing specials for COVID. Honestly, I mean, we've put some great prices on. So if there's ever a time that you want to sign up, this is the time. And Tom, is there anything else that I missed on your questions?
No. I'd like to also just emphasize that, like, before signing up for Agent Locator, I've been on Sync with a team that I was on before, and like for the individual agent, I don't think there's a better option out there. You get the most bang for your buck. That $1,000 or $1,500 you'd be spending on Sync, you could put that into the ad budget, because it all comes down to, are you calling the leads? And the support team for Agent Locator, like how quickly they respond. And like, if I ask them a question, they'll make a video instantly and send me the video showing me how to do it rather than just texting me. They book constant online training with me to go through things that I don't understand, and they screen share. Like, the customer service is amazing. So like, if you're thinking about doing the online lead generation, definitely it is totally worth it.
I thank you so much, Tom. I truly appreciate that. It's definitely we've built a system that I hopefully really that there's value for the agents that really do understand how to use it. And for those of you that are looking to sign up that have never done lead generation before, a lot of times you get into the struggle that I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to use the system. This is way too complicated. I don't know what to say to the leads when we call them. One of the things that we have implemented into our program not too long ago, well, about a year and a half ago, is a one-on-one training with one of our trainers before you even get started. So before you even get one lead, we're going to make sure that you guys understand how to use the system through a one-on-one training, not just once, multiple times, because what we'll do is once we actually give you the training and the leads start coming in, our training staff will go into your CRM and then do a video for you saying, hey there, John, just wanted to give you a quick update. I see you're doing this in the system, which is great. However, you're not still doing this, or this. If you don't know how to do it, let's reschedule another training. We do that for 4 weeks after your first training. And then we obviously also have additional trainings if you ever need to, understand how to use the system properly. So I thank you so much, Tom. I truly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. And if any of you have questions, you know, if you want to get signed up, Agent Locator, book a demo. If you have questions, support at agentlocator.ca. Join our Facebook group if you're a client. Please, it is facebook.com groups/AL clients. And that would be all. I don't have anything else to add. I really appreciate you guys very much. And Tom, if you need anything else from me, do let me know. And I'm always around on Facebook as well, guys, if you guys have questions for me.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, guys.